When the drought hit Cypress Ridge, lawns turned brown faster than toast in a cheap toaster. The HOA sent out glossy flyers urging water conservation, but the next week they fined me for trying to do exactly that. My name's Liam Porter, a 38-year-old electrical engineer who actually reads city ordinances before touching a wrench. So when the restrictions came down, I installed 2 large blue rain barrels beside my garage. Nothing fancy, just clean recycled drums with tight lids to collect runoff. Within a week, they were half full, and I was proud. My tomatoes were thriving, my utility bill was dropping, and for once, I felt like I was helping the planet and my wallet. Then came the letter. Notice of violation, unauthorized exterior modifications. I stared at it, thinking it had to be a joke. The HOA said my rain barrels were unsightly and not in harmony with community aesthetic. They demanded immediate removal or face $75 daily fines, daily, for catching rain. I walked outside that evening scanning the cul-de-sac. Beige garages, beige cars, beige mailboxes. It was like living inside a box of crackers. The only color in sight was my 2 blue barrels. Maybe that's what triggered them. I laughed it off at first until I saw Linda Haynes, our HOA president, snapping a photo of my driveway with her tablet. "Evening, Linda," I called. She didn't smile. "You've been warned, Liam. It's not about water, it's about rules." That night, I checked the HOA bylaws. Nowhere did it mention rain collection systems. In fact, the city encouraged them. I thought about confronting Linda directly, but something told me this was going to turn into a battle of principle. And I don't lose those. The following week, the HOA doubled down. I got another notice, this time with photos of my property and a line stating I was creating visual pollution detrimental to property values. Visual pollution? They made it sound like I'd set up an oil refinery. I tried reasoning. I wrote an email citing city drought regulations, attached a PDF of local environmental ordinances, and even offered to paint the barrels beige to match the community tone. No response. Instead, I received a scheduled property inspection notice. On inspection day, Linda arrived with 2 board members and a clipboard. They marched into my driveway like they were the EPA. I stood on the porch, filming on my phone as they circled the barrels, whispering like archaeologists discovering forbidden artifacts. Linda pointed her pen at them. "Remove these by Friday, Mr. Porter, or we will initiate lien proceedings for noncompliance." I smirked. For collecting rainwater during a drought? Her smile didn't falter. Rules are rules. The arrogance was staggering. That weekend, a few neighbors quietly approached me. Mark, the guy across the street, whispered, "She fined me last month for using a garden hose on Sunday. Meanwhile, her grass is emerald green." I frowned. "How? We're on watering restrictions." He shrugged. "That's what everyone's wondering." Something wasn't adding up. I started walking my dog at night, passing Linda's home on the corner lot. Her lawn shimmered like a golf course, lush, damp, and freshly cut, even in the middle of a water ban. The sound of sprinklers ticked faintly behind the hedge at midnight. That's when the idea hit me. If she wanted to inspect my property, maybe it was time someone inspected hers. The next morning, I parked near the maintenance shed behind the HOA office. A city water truck was idling nearby, and I saw a hose running into the ground. The driver, a friendly guy named Ralph, said he'd been told to refill the community irrigation line. When I asked who authorized it, he shrugged. "HOA President Haynes. She said it's for the common areas." Except, the line didn't run toward the parks. It ran toward her property. I followed the piping visually from the maintenance zone to a manhole near her backyard fence. It was hidden under mulch, cleverly, but not cleverly enough. There was a T-connection diverting water directly under her lawn, a private tap into the community system. I documented everything, photos, videos, timestamps. The pipe even had fresh coupling marks, probably installed during the landscaping upgrades the HOA billed residents for last spring. I confronted her the next day in front of the HOA office. "Linda, can you explain why there's a private water line running under your property from the community supply?" She blinked, then laughed. "You've misunderstood. That's for the median sprinklers." I pulled out my phone, Funny, because the median's bone dry and your lawn's glowing. The smirk fell from her face. You're trespassing on HOA land, Liam. Actually, I said, holding up the city's map I'd printed, that connection is under your personal parcel, which means it's your theft, not mine. Her voice turned sharp. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I do, I replied, and I think the city water department would love to hear it. That night, she emailed the entire neighborhood claiming I was spreading misinformation and harassing board members. My inbox flooded with replies, some supportive, some skeptical, but the damage control reeked of panic. The next morning, I sent my evidence packet to 2 places, the City Water Enforcement Division and Channel 6 Local News. The news van rolled into Cypress Ridge 3 days later, just as Linda was hosting an HOA meeting at the clubhouse. Residents gathered like moths to flame. I stood off to the side, watching a reporter in a crisp blazer set up the mic. Ma'am, are you aware that private irrigation lines have been discovered linking the HOA water system to your home? The reporter asked on camera. Linda froze, blinking rapidly. That's absurd. Those lines were installed for community beautification. The reporter raised an eyebrow. Beautification that happens to water only your property? People in the crowd murmured. Mark pointed at the camera. Check her lawn. It's green year-round while we're fined for watering. Within hours, the clip went viral on the local Facebook groups. The comments were brutal. So the HOA fines us for rain barrels but steals community water for herself? City inspectors arrived the next morning, shovels and all. They exposed a literal pipeline running straight to her sprinkler manifold, unauthorized, unmetered, and completely illegal. Linda was cited for theft of public utilities and forced to resign. The HOA board dissolved temporarily and a community vote replaced her with a new president, someone reasonable, someone who didn't treat water like a weapon. When the city investigator visited me later, he smiled. You know, technically, you were the only one in compliance all along. Those rain barrels, they're perfectly legal. I laughed. Tell that to my $900 in fines. A week later, the HOA reimbursed me in full. They even issued a neighborhood memo encouraging rainwater collection, complete with my house photo as the example. The irony was delicious. That night, I stood in my driveway under a gray sky, the barrels waiting patiently for the next rainfall. When the first drops hit, I couldn't help but grin. Across the street, the old green glow of Linda's lawn was gone, replaced by brittle yellow patches and a for sale sign half hidden behind a dying hedge. As the rain poured down, filling my barrels again, I thought about how simple this all was. I wasn't trying to break rules or make a statement. I just wanted to do the right thing. But sometimes in HOA land, doing the right thing is rebellion. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat.